Hey everyone, I'm Summer. Welcome to my channel. Today I will share the creative process of the concept sketch of this character. The inspiration for the design of this picture comes from a pair of my trousers. One of my trousers was too fat. My mother helped me modify it with a sewing machine and some tools. I saw balls of various colors, scissors, buttons, and rulers of different shapes. It gave me a preliminary idea. I want to draw a character related to sewing. Her weapon can be a sewing needle or huge scissors. It can also be wool or a measuring ruler. Having the idea of taking a step, I began to draw a dynamic of the human body. At this point, I didn't have many ideas about what style of clothing the character should wear. Dynamic. I don't want to draw an upright posture because both the line and the measuring ruler are soft. Sewing clothes makes people feel very gentle, so I want to incorporate the curve element when doing human body movements. The human body dynamics I drew in the form of silhouettes may not seem so soft and beautiful at first. The sense of the curve wasn't too strong, so I adjusted the human body again. The main purpose is to make the character more feminine and gentle. I contracted the character's chest and waist a little, making the waist thinner and the shoulders narrower as well. This can make the character look softer. When adding equipment later, you can also create a contrast between your weak body and the large-scale weapons. When adjusting the human body, I was also trying to make this character have a process of moving forward. Because there is no result of the line drawing, adjusting the structure on the silhouette is not very clear. So I copied a layer and reduced the opacity of the layer. In this way, when adjusting on the copied layer, you can see the difference in shape from the original layer. It can also determine whether the proportion of the limbs is appropriate. If standing in a normal posture, I will directly add costumes to the character based on the silhouette pose. Because I have drawn more standing postures, I am more familiar with them. Today's dynamic is rather distorted, with body shapes covering the waist and legs. I want the left leg to have a forward tendency, so that it will cover part of the pelvic structure. So after the silhouette took shape, I briefly sketched the human body with lines, also hoping to have a reference when adding clothes. If tight-fitting clothing is designed, this sketch will be of greater help. This line drawing mainly determines the positions of the joints. The relationships among the waist, legs, and pelvic cavity are the main parts to be sorted out. The structure of the shoulder and neck sections is also briefly described. The posture of the hands is only simply proportioned. Since no equipment has been added, it has not been determined whether the character is holding any items in their hands. The posture of their hands will still be determined when drawing the design. I didn't think very clearly about what kind of look to draw for this character, so I choose to draw silhouettes first using color blocks. Under normal circumstances, the random strokes and unexpected graphics generated by silhouettes can bring me some inspiration. The part that can be added to the character's costume design is limited, because the clothes are to be worn on a person's body and the painting is another female character. The angle formed by a woman's waist and hips is the part that can better reflect the body curves. No more styling will be added to this area. I usually keep the original curve of the waist. The shoulders are deliberately narrowed during the silhouette to make the character look petite and delicate, so overly exaggerated designs can also be added to the shoulders. Then, for the areas where the silhouette's outer contour helps, one can consider the upper arm, lower arm, and the shape of the skirt. After adding the costumes, the overall picture was not balanced, so I wanted to add an exaggerated weapon to the character. In the reference picture, there are scissors, needles, balls of thread, and buttons. In terms of attack power, scissors are still more suitable. Scissors themselves have the function of cutting and are relatively sharp. They are still quite suitable as weapons. The scissor shape is also quite distinctive. It can be designed in a style with variations in shape, so I chose it as the weapon of this character. To create a visual impact, I chose to enlarge the scissors and exaggerate its proportion. Make it have a distinct size contrast with the character and also make the scissors somewhat different from the scissors in reality. This will trigger more associations in people and also make this character easier to be remembered. After adding the scissors element, the overall shape will also change. When adding elements, observe as a whole to see if this graphic is balanced. There is a deficiency in that part. The content of this area can be increased through clothing or hair. Because the volume of the scissors part is relatively large, I added some hollowed out parts to the scissors. In this way, there will be more slender lines on the scissors, which can echo the curve of the character's hair. Scissors won't seem so cumbersome either. If the painting is of a male character, these hollowed out works might not be appropriate. Women should still focus on softness and beauty, so try to keep this feeling in weapons and equipment as much as possible. After the silhouettes are drawn, they still need to be rationalized based on the way real clothing is worn. For the collar part, I designed a style with a high collar and lace. Some straps have also been added to the collar, aiming to incorporate more elements of thread, because thread is still quite commonly used in making clothing. To echo the elements of the collar, I also added the elements of the current situation at the waist. In order to better reflect the professional characteristics related to this character and costume design, I added a tool bag on her waist, which contained commonly used tools. The ball of thread, needles of different lengths, tape measures, etc., are all inside. The dress is designed with simple layers, mainly to increase the trend of outward expansion. This part is more about balancing the density relationship of the picture through wrinkles. The skirt has a trapezoidal trend, and I have also added the same element to the sleeves. However, in terms of material, it can be considered to increase the lightness and thinness of the fabric later. For the headwear section, I added the element of needles, inserting them into the hair or hair accessories, a slightly Chinese-style hairpin. Some buttons, pins, or ball elements can also be added to the small elements. First, there is a relationship of density and sparseness. If we choose this design, we will then refine them. Next, straighten the direction of the hair and the shape of the scissors. When sketching, if the plan is not completely determined, you can draw everything that comes to mind. Having a plan, modifications can be made on the basis of the existing one, which will result in many blocks. For the first plan, I think the curved elements in the design are not too sufficient. This character as a whole is rather square, giving off a somewhat tough impression. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to make it in the style of cyberpunk or neat punk. I want this character to be a little milder and more beautiful. So in this plan, I added more flowing curves to the silhouette, hoping to make the character's costume more elegant. After the character's design is expanded, the picture will appear unbalanced again, and the volume area of the character will increase. Scissors are more of a linear element attribute, which makes the picture appear rather thin. So, I tried to add dots of different sizes in the background to increase the variation of the picture. It is also by adding these elements to make the picture more integrated. After adjusting the silhouettes, let's summarize the structure of the clothing with lines. For this plan, I adjusted the style of the sleeves. The sleeves were designed as puffed sleeves. Such a style can make the characters cuter. Adding flowing elements to the silhouettes, efforts should be made to rationalize them in clothing design. It can be designed as a skirt or as a decorative element at the back, because the upper body design is relatively simple. For the lower part of the styling, I still want to design them as skirts. However, the skirt can be designed in a style that is shorter at the front and longer at the back, or the skirt can be placed at the crotch to expose the front legs. This way, it can be sexier. Two-legged socks can also be designed in different styles. I always feel that this character is still lacking some unique elements. I added a pair of glasses to this character. It can also make her more interesting. The circular lenses can also create some shape echoes with the circular graphics in the background. Is modified on the basis of the second one. When drawing the second plan, I was thinking whether I could add some layers to the sleeve part and make more variations. What is emphasized in this plan is the style of shoulder clothing. Considering that this character can use weapons, scissors might only be suitable for close combat. So I added a fabric shoulder armor to this character. There are still some lace decorations under the armor piece. The cutting structure of the clothes has also been adjusted, changing from the original symmetrical structure to a pressed and asymmetrical form. The shoulders have been added with relatively obvious lace elements, and the same can be done on the hips. Simulate the shape of the skirt armor, and in this way there will be more corresponding elements. At present, the background only has scattered points and is still lacking the element of lines. So I thought of a measuring ruler. It is soft and can be bent at will. It can also well represent the professional characteristics of the character. So I used a clothing ruler to create an S-curve in the background, making the elements in the background have an invisible connection with the character's body. In this way, the correlation among various elements will be stronger. Looking back at this point, the first plan was still somewhat thin. I adjusted the scissors a little square first. The straight line is relatively tough and can enhance this trend. I added several crinolines to the part of the dress, just like the unfinished, semi-finished product of the skirt. The human table is used when making clothes, and this is also a very good element. So I found the photos of the people and used them as part of the background. The background was linked again using lines. Part to be more integrated. So I chose a color with a higher lightness to create a color splash effect. This can also add more elements to the picture. The form of the center radiating outward can also make the character part more prominent. The three plans have different feelings. After taking a comprehensive look at the three plans, I finally chose the second one. The first combination of straight and curved lines is not very comfortable and gives a stiff feeling. The third solution is that when viewed in a small image, the density of the character's upper body is a bit too high. Although it can draw the line of sight, the sketch stage did not add light and shadow or details such a high density. There is a risk of too many details after rendering and depiction, so I chose the second option. This plan is more concise and the key elements of the waist can also be highlighted. The next step is the process of structurally sorting out the selected plan. My main task is to sort out the unclear structures and organize the overlapping and interweaving relationships. The direction of the pleats has been summarized, and some adjustments have been made to the small elements and the shape. I hope this video is helpful to you who want to learn digital painting skills. Then let's start enjoying the wonderful painting process. all for today's sharing. I hope everyone can feel the joy of design and painting during the process of painting. I will bring you more wonderful content. Stay tuned.